There's a woman on a street in Paris who at 78 gets looked at twice by women in their 30s. Her name is Linda Wright. She runs a knitwear label, wears her silver hair uncovered, and owns fewer clothes than you do. I counted mine last spring, 41 summer tops, and I still stood in front of them with nothing to wear. She has 7 rules instead of a full wardrobe, and younger women have started copying every single one of them. Stay with me and I'll walk you through them. Welcome to Ageless Style Guide. If this list changes how you shop this season, subscribe now because there's a lot to unpack here. Rule number 1, the air to skin principle. Her first rule isn't about cut or color at all. It's about a gap. Between the cloth and your skin, there should always be a thin layer of air, and she treats that gap as non-negotiable. A summer garment gets judged not on the hanger and not in the changing room, but at 2 in the afternoon in direct sun. Does it absorb light or throw a glare? Does it float or does it stick? Is it still holding its shape at 4, or has it collapsed into a damp rag around your ribs? That is a completely different test from the one most of us run. Changing room light is cool and flat, and nothing has had time to fail yet. I have bought at least 3 summer tops that sailed through the mirror and were a disaster by lunchtime, and I spent years blaming my body for what the fabric was doing. The cloth that passes her test is dense, matte, and organic. Linen, cotton poplin, heavier striped cottons, dark denim, basket weaves with some body to them. What they share is enough backbone to hold themselves off the skin. Thin, slippery, shiny synthetics have no such spine. Add a trace of moisture and they lie down on you, map every contour you own, and once they are stuck, they stay stuck for the rest of the day. Dense, natural cloth stands slightly away and lets moving air do the cooling. The visual payoff is the part that surprises people. When fabric hovers rather than clings, everyone else sees a woman the weather isn't reaching. Everyone else on the street is peeling cotton off their spine, and she walks through the middle of it entirely unbothered. That composure passes for temperament. It is textile behavior, and you can buy it by the meter. Rule number 2, the subtraction law. Small rule, slightly ruthless. Before you leave the house, take one thing off. The second bracelet, the scarf, the belt you added because something felt unfinished, the necklace fighting the earrings. Wright's position is that an outfit almost never fails for being too plain. It fails because it was asked to carry 6 ideas at once and carried none of them. The reasoning sits in how looking actually works. The eye settles on one thing at a time. Hand it a print, a shine, a bold color, a piece of hardware, and a texture all together, and it never lands anywhere. So it gives up and slides off you, and nothing gets remembered. Strip the noise out, and there is only one place left for it to go, which is your face. That was always the target. My sister-in-law tested this the week before a wedding, mostly to prove me wrong. She wore the navy dress with nothing on it whatsoever. No necklace, no brooch, no scarf. She came back mildly annoyed because 4 separate people had told her she looked well, and not a single one of them mentioned the dress. The rule was working exactly as designed. They weren't looking at the clothes. There is a reason younger women grabbed this one hardest. They live inside a scroll of visual noise where every image shouts over the last. So a woman who walks in wearing 3 quiet pieces and nothing else registers like silence in a loud room. Clean, legible, impossible to forget afterwards. The discipline is doing it at the door, not in your head. Get dressed, look once, remove whatever you added last. It is almost always the item that was working hardest and helping least, and it will feel wrong to remove it, and you should remove it anyway. Rule number 3, the friction formula. Minimalism has a failure mode nobody warns you about. Without tension, it stops looking elegant and starts looking like a uniform. Gray trousers, gray knit, gray shoe. Technically correct, and about as inviting as a filing cabinet. Wright's correction is to put two opposing textures into one outfit and let them pull against each other. The pairing is always rigid against fluid. A tailored blazer with a real shoulder over a knit that pours. A crisp cotton shirt with linen trousers that move like water. Leather against cashmere, canvas against silk. One piece holds a hard line and the other refuses to hold anything at all. Structure gives you edges, and edges announce a decision instead of an accident. Softness does the opposite job. It keeps the outfit from looking pressed, staged, and faintly corporate. Neither half works on its own. Together, they produce the quality everybody tries to fake, looking assembled without looking like you labored over it. Where people go wrong is treating the soft piece as the lazy piece. A draping cardigan is not something flung over the top as an afterthought. It is chosen with the same care as the blazer, in a fiber that hangs properly, at a length that lands where you want attention to stop. I watched this done perfectly by a woman about 70 at a Saturday market. Stiff navy work jacket, the kind with brass buttons, thrown over a long, fluid dress in flat sandals. Jacket said carpenter, dress said dinner. She was buying tomatoes and looked better than anyone within a mile, and nothing on her was expensive. Get the friction right and color barely matters. You can build an entire outfit in one shade and it will still have life in it because the interest is coming from what the cloth is doing, not what it cost. If you've been nodding along so far, drop a comment and tell me which of these 3 rules is already breaking the most rules in your own closet. And if this is helping you rethink how you get dressed, take a second to hit that like button. It genuinely helps this reach more women who need it. Rule number 4, the color anchor. Wright builds outfits around a single saturated neutral and stays inside one temperature lane. Navy, taupe, or teal. Whichever she picks anchors the wardrobe, and everything else is chosen to sit warm or cool beside it, never a mixture of both. That single habit is why her clothes look expensive when plenty of them aren't. Cohesion is what money looks like. There are 4 colors she refuses, and the reasoning behind each is unusually specific. Muddy beige drops a gray veil over the skin and pulls sallowness to the surface, while a clean, warm neutral from the same family gives the face a base to sit on. Acid brights come next. The saturation is loud but flat, so it glares instead of glowing, and it hauls all the attention onto itself and away from you. Rich, deep versions of those same colors keep the intensity and add somewhere to rest. Third, washed-out pastels. They sit too close in value to pale skin and gray hair, so the entire picture blurs into one soft smear with no edges anywhere. Soft but clear shades stand apart without shouting about it. Fourth, and the trap most women over 60 walk straight into, is ashy cool gray. Gray feels safe. Put ash gray next to silver hair, though, and the two cancel each other out. The hair stops looking like silver and starts looking like fading. That is the mechanical part worth holding on to. Silver hair is a high-value neutral, and it needs something dark and warm behind it before it will look deliberate at all. Navy behind silver is spectacular. Ash gray behind silver is nothing at all. A friend of mine switched from beige to deep teal for one summer and told me people kept asking where she'd been. She hadn't been anywhere further than the coast. The color was taking credit for a holiday she never had. Rule number 5, the careless drape. The Italians named this centuries ago, sprezzatura, the art of making something carefully decided look completely accidental. In Wright's hands, it comes down to 2 habits. Expensive things get handled casually, and one part of every outfit is deliberately left undone. The draping first. A cashmere sweater doesn't go on, it goes over. Knotted at the shoulders, hanging off one arm, slung around the neck with no symmetry to it. Silk scarves and shawls get the same treatment, never arranged, never pinned, always looking as though she picked it up on the way out and it landed where it landed. She runs a knitwear label of her own, Crimson Cashmere, and handles those pieces exactly this way. Things to use, not things to protect. Then the undone element. An open collar, cuffs unbuttoned and shoved up the forearm, a trench with the belt knotted instead of buckled, or hanging loose altogether. One deliberate loose end every single time. Both habits do the same psychological work. Perfectly finished clothing announces effort, and effort announces that the result mattered to you. That is what makes a woman look like she is holding a position instead of living inside her own life. Leave one element open and the outfit exhales. It stops being a costume. There is a limit, and it's easy to sail past. One undone thing looks like ease. 3 looks like a woman who dressed in the dark. What holds it together is everything else being immaculate, pressed, clean, fitting properly. The loose end only lands as a choice when nothing around it could be mistaken for an oversight. I wore the shoulder knot for a year before it stopped feeling like fancy dress. What fixed it was giving up on adjusting it in every window I passed. Once you stop checking, it starts looking right. Rule number 6. Proportional architecture. This is where the rule turns into arithmetic. Right splits the body 60-40 and never down the middle. A 50-50 division, jacket stopping at mid-thigh, hem cutting the leg in half, compresses the frame and freezes it in place. Move the break to roughly 60% one way, and the eye sets off across you rather than stopping dead, and a traveling eye judges a body taller. The break usually sits at the natural waist, with one volume playing against one restraint. Loose trousers, fitted top. Voluminous shirt, narrow leg. Never loose against loose. That is the exact place good linen goes wrong. That is the mistake I see most often on women who have just discovered linen and bought it in both halves. A loose shirt, a loose trouser, and a body that has gone missing somewhere in the middle. Where the break lands depends on your build, and this part deserves a slower minute. Carrying weight through the hips, a defined shoulder above, and a wide leg trouser skimming the floor turns the lower half into one long column, carrying it through the middle. An open layer down the front creates a vertical line to follow, and rolling the sleeves to expose wrists and ankles puts your narrowest points on show, while the volume floats past everything else. A naturally defined waist wants honoring with a soft tie or a wrap, not a stiff belt soaring across it. A straight up and down frame has to manufacture a waist, using a paper bag trouser, a sash, a belt in a contrasting shade. Broad shoulders want weight added underneath, a full skirt with movement in it, and the neckline kept plain. Then comes the last check before the door, and this is what separates relaxed from sloppy. 3 lines. The cuffs, the collar, the hem. If those 3 edges are crisp and sitting where you intended, an oversized garment looks designed. If one of them is crumpled, twisted, or half turned under, the same garment looks borrowed. Nobody consciously notices those 3 lines. Everybody reacts to them. Rule number 7. The ownership shift. The final rule isn't a garment. And Wright is clear that without it, the other 6 produce a well-dressed woman nobody remembers. Most women over 60 have been trained, gently and for decades, to dress in order to disappear. Cover the arms, nothing too bright, nothing too young. Don't draw attention to yourself. It arrives dressed as good taste, and it functions as instruction. And it works because you follow it, and you do become harder to see. The ownership shift is the refusal. You dress from the inside out. You choose what makes you feel like yourself in the mirror, and the world's opinion turns up afterwards, if it turns up at all. It shows in the visible decisions. Wright wears her hair silver, uncovered and uncorrected. Her makeup is minimal and weighted towards skin that has been looked after rather than skin that has been hidden. Neither of those is a surrender to age. Both are a decision that what she actually looks like is the starting material, not a fault to be repaired before she's permitted out of the house. The difference it makes lives in the body, not the wardrobe. Women dressing to disappear stand smaller, shoulders folded in, bag held across the front, arms crossed. Women dressing from the inside out stand up straight and move at their own pace. And that carries across a room faster than any fabric ever could. My aunt cut her hair short and stopped coloring it at 73. After 20 years of 6-week appointments she had long since stopped enjoying. The strange part, she said, wasn't how she looked afterwards. It was that she stopped rehearsing what she would say if somebody commented. She doesn't walk into a room hoping to be noticed. She walks in already fully occupying herself. Nothing in that costs money, and nothing in it can be bought. 6 of these are craft: cloth, color, proportion, the way an edge sits, learnable in a season, at any budget. The 7th decides what the other 6 are for. Dressing stops being a defense against being seen and turns into the way you arrive somewhere. That shift was available at 40. It is available at 78. And it is available on a wet Tuesday in whatever is already hanging up. If this changed how you're going to get dressed tomorrow, tell me in the comments which of these 7 rules you're starting with. And subscribe here at Ageless Style Guide because we're walking through more of exactly this kind of style wisdom every week.